Hello everyone. Welcome to SAP Online Track. This is Ujjwal Singh. I hold working experience of all the RISEF objects and development implementation project. And from last 1 year, I am working on migration projects where we are migrating data from ECC to S4, S4 to S4. We have scenarios like merger, carve-outs, conversions, and deletions also. So such type of project we are working on. Talking about this session will cover technical overview of ECC, ERP, databases, HANA, S4 HANA. We will also go through all the new changes, modifications in place for a technical consultant. So this session would be a theoretical session where we'll be discussing all these things, and hopefully the second session which we'll be coming up with, that there we'll be logging into SAP systems and have a hands-on exposure of all the code changes and modification. So without wasting much time, let's begin. Why ABAP for ECC is different from ABAP on HANA? So this is what we are going to discuss, keeping this in mind, because the motive is to discuss how the coding has changed, coding has evolved from earlier in ECC to here in HANA, and what is there for a technical consultant. So is it because of a database? Let's find it out. What is ERP? So we will cover some basic terminology, the jargons which we use in SAP world. So ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. But what does ERP mean? The simplest way to define ERP is to think about all the core processes needed to run a company. We are talking about all the processes like finance, HR, manufacturing, supply chain, services, procurement, and others. At its most basic level, ERP integrates these processes into a single system. So just focus on the last line. ERP integrates these processes into a single system. If you see this image attached over here, we have financial management, customer relationship management, human resource management, manufacturing resource planning, supply chain management. So we can see here we have all the processes, and these all are integrated with one system, that is ERP system. So earlier, all these were holding when ERP was not into the existence. They were using data into a different database at different places, and it was very tough to integrate all these things. So after evolution of or beginning of ERP system, what happened? Now we have all the data at central place, and we have data availability for any of the module in real time. So ERP integrates these processes into a single system. So this is what ERP is. You can go through this definition by pausing the video once we have this video uploaded on YouTube. Also, whatsoever question you guys are having throughout the session, you just don't forget to type it in the chat window and we will reply over there. Now comes to what is ECC? ERP Central Component. So the full form is ERP Central Component is one of the most recognized assets that SAP owns. It is an enterprise resource planning software. So what it says, it's a ERP software. We just discussed in the previous slide what ERP is. So ECC is a ERP software which consists in several modules. When we say several modules, FI, SD, MM, WM, PP, PM, QM, SD, CO, so on and so forth. There are many which SAP provides solutions for. So it is a ERP software which consists in several modules that provide the organization with great control over their key business processes. So ERP provides organization a solution, a great control over their business processes. It integrates all the different modules as we discussed FISD, and also this is what ECC is. It's a software. Is ECC and ERP same? So we discuss ECC, we discuss ERP. So are both same? Yes. So the first and foremost distinction is that SAP ERP is a licensing model and SAP ECC is an installable unit. What it says is ECC is a installable unit. It is a software itself that we install on our system, whereas ERP is a licensing model. This means that you just can actually and literally install ECC, however, not an ERP. SAP Business Suite is a collection of the many SAP applications, and ERP is a collection of many installable units. So this is what the difference is. ECC is a software that you can install on your system, whereas ERP is a licensing model. Now come to ABAP. A very short definition. What is ABAP? Is a high-level programming language created by the German software company SAP SE. So in SAP, whatsoever the coding is written behind, whatever the logic that is running for any of the business processes, so this the code is written, the language is called ABAP. That is full form is Advanced Business Application Programming. We are generating reports. We have all the outputs. We have all the sheets that we can see. So the code, the logic that written is the language which we are using is ABAP. So this is a SAP proprietary again. As we can see, it is created by the German software company SAP SE. How ABAP works for ECC. So we need to understand like how ABAP works in ECC, because ultimately we are going to do the comparison. We are going to find out in with the evolution of HANA how it changes, and for a ABAP consultant, what are the things that he need to taken care of. So let's discuss this three-tier architecture. ABAP in ECC was using three-tier architecture. What is three-tier architecture? We have presentation layer. You can see everyone, you guys are watching this video. So that is the presentation layer where we are interacting with the user. The application layer, ABAP consultants, you all write the codes, the select queries, read the statement, everything. So that is the application layer where we are trying to interact with the database. And the database layer is the physical storage where we are storing all our data. So that is the database layer. So how it was working earlier, we have this three-tier architecture. We used to write our codes and everything on the application layer. You can see process data using application logic, communicate with both the layers. It communicate with presentation layer also, with database layer also. In start of selection, we write our select queries and all, which fetch the data. We do the imputation and calculation as per the requirement. And in end of selection, what we do, we throw it or print it on our presentation layer. So here application layer interacts with both the layers. So this is how the architecture was in ECC when we have database other than HANA. So here it is. What database SAP uses before HANA? So SAP software can run on any database as it is database and operating system independent. So this is independent of database and operating system. So there will be question, if it is independent of database, how actually it is, how all the database, because you are using different database that is made by different organization. So how our query, the ABAPer which we are writing on the ABAP application layer, how it is interacting with different database using the same language. So if we read ahead, the SAP server has a special abstraction layer called database interface, which converts OpenSQL statement into database specific native SQL. So database interface, this is the one, database interface is the one which is doing the job over here, that is converting our OpenSQL statement into database specific native SQL. Therefore, SAP software is a database independent and run on Oracle, DB2, SQL Server, SAP Sybase, MySQL, etc. So this was the scenario before evolution of HANA, when SAP come up with his own database HANA. So that we will discuss. What's new with HANA? Real-time reporting with almost two-tier architecture. We just discussed three-tier architecture. So it's not like HANA is based on two-tier architecture or that. No, still we are using the three-tier architecture, but here we will see why we are mentioning this real-time reporting with almost two-tier architecture. With HANA, SAP has come up with this technique called push-down technique. In push-down technique, I will explain this image. See, classic approach, when HANA was not there, this was the data to code. When we say data to code, intensive computation in application layer. We were writing all our code from database. We just used to fetch the data by the select query. Once we have data on application layer, all the complex imputation, calculation, the logic we write on application layer, and there we do this intensive steps, right? So that was data to code. Classic approach. See the right side. So this is your application programming model, and this is your database which is trying to interact. So just see data centric approach, code to data, intensive computation in database layer. So with coming of HANA, what we are doing actually, push down technique, why we say, because the code, the logic which we were writing at application layer earlier, now those things, those steps, those work we are taking from the database itself. Now database is doing all those work earlier which was done by application layer. So that's why we say code to data. Now we will see HANA is not just a database, because what we are doing, we were taking the work of application layer from the database. So that we will discuss in the next slide. But what exactly here is the push down technique. Why we say push down? Because from application layer we are pushing it down, all the logics and everything, the calculation which we were doing, to the database layer. Now database is doing all those work in HANA. So that's why it's push down technique. So HANA doing application server task, I thought it's just a DB. Is it more? So is HANA more than a database? So here it is. Here is the answer. HANA is not just a database but a platform. HANA is also platform for applications, including an in-memory database with tools and set of application libraries, where it allows for superior OLTP and OLAP system. What it is saying, if you see the highlighted line, HANA is not just a database but a platform. When we say platform, like where you can, database is something which is just store the physical data, the values whatsoever stored in the table. So that physically we are storing at a place, that is called database. But the platform is something where you are using that platform to doing all the calculations and everything, the complex logic which you are writing over there. So that is called a platform. So HANA is also a platform for application with tools and sets of application libraries. So it has application libraries where it allows for a superior OLTP and OLAP system. OLTP is online transactional processing and online analytical processing. So analytical processing is like we have older data and we are doing the calculation. We want to see how the company has performed. So huge volume of data, that is OLAP system. Let's go to next slide. Discussed about some features of HANA. Hybrid in-memory database. So HANA is a hybrid in-memory database. In-memory because it stores data directly in main memory, and hybrid because it stores data as row store and column store both. So here one thing we need to understand, friend. That is, earlier we were storing data in row store, and now with the evolution, with the coming of HANA, what we have also one approach called a column store. So HANA has column store that we will discuss. We will park it for now. What is column store? How exactly it stores the data? That we will discuss later. So the second thing. So first was hybrid in-memory database. Second one is parallel processing and partitioning of data. When we say parallel processing, means that at least two microprocessor, at least it can be more than two microprocessor, handles part of an overall task. If you see this image, I will just try to explain. If you put some any select query on any of the table, so what will, one core would be assigned for one column and the second core would be assigned for the second column if you are searching anything. So this is called parallel processing. You have not a single core that is working on all the, first it is completing one column search, then it is getting to the second column, then it is completing the search. It's not like that. What it is doing, it is assigning one core to different columns, so the processing would be fast. So it is called parallel processing. I'm explaining it in very simple way. And what is called partitioning of data, when suppose that column itself is very large. So what is happening, if you see the second image, this image, core 3 and core 4, for half of the portion the one core is working, and for the latter half, the bottom half, the other core is working. So what it will result in, the partitioning will result in for the more speed, for the more optimization of the searching. So parallel processing and partitioning of data is one of the feature of the HANA. So as we discuss the column store, I will try to explain this diagram of what exactly the column store is. See this image, logical table. We have column order, customer, currency, amount. Order is storing order number, customer have the customer name, currency, and then the amount. Now, this is what a traditional database holds. This is what the organization is, organization of data. So this is how it is. If you'll see the second column, because here we want to explain the benefit of column store. Why SAP come up with the column store when a row store was already in place? First thing we need to understand, in HANA, we are storing data at memory level. In memory, we are storing the data. So you memory is very costly thing. You can't have that big memory that you are storing your data in the hard disk, hard drives over there. So they have tried to bring down the data footprint with HANA. That also we will I will explain in the next slide how much data they have compressed, how down they have come. A real time example what has been explained by the SAP that screenshot I will show over here. Coming back, let's understand how column store works actually. What is inverted index? Actually, they are storing it. The method, the way is in called inverted index. That I will explain over here. So, customer, what we are doing over here, we are giving the numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the second picture. If you see in dictionary, so we have name JATECO. The first number we are assigning to JATECO. Second number picobit, the picobit. Third is SAP. Fourth Swisha. Fifth Sorali. So on and so forth. We are storing the entries like this. Now talk about the compressed column. What now we are replacing the text, the literal text with the digits. Now we know that digits will store or occupy more spaces. Sorry, less spaces than what the text would occupy. Now see, rather than writing JATCO, we are writing one only. Okay. For picobit, picobit is stored at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth position. Right. So here it would be at the fifth position. And picobit we have replaced with number 2. So we are storing 2 now. So at fifth position, we are not storing picobit, the big name. Rather, we are storing the digit, the numerical value only. Take any other, like at sixth position we have 4. What is for 4 is Swisher. So at sixth position here we should find Swisher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here it is. Now further, this is the compressed column. Now further the inverted index. What exactly they are doing here, if you'll see, 248. 248. We have SAP, this name repeated for second column, fourth column and eighth column. So they further reduced it. What they did is they are writing it in one place 248, like for the second place, for the fourth place and for the eighth place you have 3 stored. What is 3? 3 is SAP. So for the second place you have SAP, for the fourth place you have SAP, and for the eighth place you have SAP. So you will see this whole data footprint, this whole thing with the inverted index. They first compressed it, then with the inverted index way, what they have did, they have reduced it to this size. This is what they are storing. I will give you a real-time example of this. Okay, inverted index. Open any book which you have. If you see the first few pages, you have indexes, right? After the preface and all, you have index where you will see in what lessons, what are the topics, what you have to learn, the other sections information. If you go to the very last of the book and you see all the information whatsoever given in the book, that you will find in inverted format over there in the last pages of the book. You can see and you can find it out exactly what written on that particular page, the information. So this is what inverted index is. They are the first, when the book starts we have indexes, in the last we have inverted indexes. So that is example. When you will see and explore this, try to correlate, then you will be able to get it more. So that is a real-time example which even I checked it from my end, how exactly things I tried to understand this inverted index concept. So which earlier I found it very difficult to understand, but yeah, this is how it is. We have this customer numbers, customer name, then we can give indexes, a number to all these name corresponding to the name. Jatico we give 1, 2, so on and so forth. Then we replace this actual name with the digit itself, And now further, the repetition of these names, what we did, the repetition of these digits 2 2 2, we wrote it in a same row, 248. So 3 is what? SAP. 248, it means at the position 2, 4 and 8 row we will be getting this SAP. So this is how it is, the column store. Let's move on to next slide. Features continue. Some more features. Dynamic tiering. What exactly dynamic tiering is? It is classification of data into temperature, hot, warm, cold, based on its importance and performance expectation. When we say hot, warm, and cold, don't get it literally that something is hot or that way, or cold or something kind of ice cream and that way. No, it's not like that. So hot data is accessed frequently, thus stored in main memory. So hot data, they are marking those data which we are frequently using in our processes, the business processes. So those are hot data because they are frequently used. So what SAP is doing is they are storing this hot data in the main memory itself because they are gonna frequently use. Now talk about warm data. Data is not accessed frequently and stored in disk-based persistent storage. So they are data, warm data is those data which are not frequently used but are in use. So they are storing it in disk-based persistent storage. So not in the main memory. Because in main memory RAM you can't have that much volume of data which you are earlier storing at hard disk level. So that thing they are doing at they are this bifurcation of data they have done. Now the cold data, the third one, data is rarely accessed. These are like kind of analytical data which you use for doing the analysis and all. So data is rarely accessed or inactive and is stored outside SAP HANA database. So they are stored outside SAP HANA database. So they have done this to dynamic tiering. uh, this whole process is called dynamic tiering. You don't decide like which one you will be keeping at warm and how it is. The based on usage of data, how frequently you are using, HANA will do this. It will decide which data will be at under the hot data category and stored at the memory level. So that much HANA is intelligent that it will do. So if you see this image, data volume. So data volume is and the performance, you have to understand it this manner. Performance is high. Performance is high at what? The hot data. Obviously if you are storing anything at memory level, performance should be high, and the data volume is coming down. So data volume, cold data are more. As I said, it's analytical data. For analysis there are big data that you are storing outside the SAP HANA database. So data volume would be from top to bottom, it would be more, and the performance from bottom to up, it will go high as you will be storing data at memory level. Now data footprint. As I said earlier, that in one of the slides we will discuss how SAP has bring down the data footprint because HANA is in-memory database. See, traditional DB we have 590. This is one of the use case. This is one of the use case. So traditional DB 593 GB of data was there. 593 GB data footprint. On HANA, it come down to 118.6 GB. How exactly it comes down to this level? All that compression technique which they does, and the column store. So they did the compression, the column store technique. Why they come up with the column store? Because in one column you store the same type of data, the data type is same, so the comparison would be handy. As I showed you in inverted index concept, if something is repeating, the suppose name Ujjwal is in the second row, fourth row, eighth row of the same column, then with the inverted index we are writing 248. So in that way they bring it down, the compression and all they did. Then comes to S4 HANA. uh, that also we will discuss HANA, S4 HANA. So in S4 HANA, when they comes, what they did, like they deleted those tables. If you'll see, if you are a web consultant, you work on ECC, so same data stores in multiple table. So if you'll see here, the data footprint, what they have did in SAP Finance with aggregated indexes, here it's logistic. So in earlier in ECC we have all these four these tables, and for logistic these are the tables. What they did in S4 HANA, they reduced these tables, the duplicacy of data, the redundancy of data they removed, and they have few tables like we have ACDoc and ACDoc T. So in that manner, if you see these highlighted one, the blue one, these are what they are staying with, and all these which were earlier part of the ECC, they in S4 HANA, these are not present in our S4 HANA system. So these are no more exist, these tables they have reduced it. I will take one example. So earlier we have customer, vendor, we have customer table, vendor table, and all those data. In ECC, business partner was not mandatory, but in S4 HANA, we have everything is business partner. So whether it's a customer or it's a vendor, you have to ultimately convert it to the business partner, and that is what going to do all the processes, and that would be responsible for those parts. So we have reduced tables in S4 HANA, so that bring down further from 118.6 GB to 42.4 GB. Now in actual, it again comes down to 8.4. What they did in actual, if you see this image, so they did this historical data, they separated the historical data and this actual data on which you are doing the regular business, the regular business data on which you are performing all the operations and all. So they bifurcated it further. Now the actual, if you see this these color, orange color, so these are 8.4 GB. This is how they bring down the data footprint, because you are going to store in memory. That's why this was required. So this is how they bring down the data footprint. Did I just see HANA, S4 HANA? Yes. I will explain. Yep, there is a big difference. Let us discuss few terms which often thought to be similar by the beginners. Obviously, even I was confused when I came to HANA. I was thinking, what is HANA and S4 HANA? So HANA is a database and S4 HANA is the application that uses this database. One line, very simple. You will understand from this. HANA is a database and S4 HANA is the application that uses this database. ECC 6.0 and below versions were mainly running on Oracle database. If you'll see, we have already discussed the databases what were using, and mainly it was Oracle. That can be seen from system status and database system. And moving the database from Oracle or any other DB to HANA DB is called suit on HANA. So you are just changing the database from Oracle or any to HANA, then that is called suit on HANA. In ECC, you have Oracle or any DB, you just change it to HANA. SAP S4 HANA full form, SAP Business Suite 4. This is the Business Suite 4. That's why this 4 is there, the fourth generation actually. So for high performance analytic appliance. So it's a high performance analytic appliance. So HANA is an appliance, not just a database, as we already discussed this also. HANA really not just a DBS. This is the reason ABAP on HANA came into existence, because you are not dealing with a classical DB server or something. You are dealing with an intelligent entity. So obviously HANA is an intelligent entity. And in order to utilize its capability, way of coding got changed. Obviously. Let's come to the next slide. With HANA comes two approaches. So as we all know, HANA works on push down technique, means to make HANA DB do the calculation which was earlier done by the application layer in ECC. Further, push down technique can be achieved using two approaches. So in push down also we have two approaches, bottom up approach and top down approach. Bottom up approach I will explain. When bottom up, you are doing all the calculation at HANA DB, you are exposing this to the ABAP layer. So that is bottom up approach, doing it in bottom and exposing it to the application layer or ABAP layer. Top down approach, you are doing everything at the application layer and pushing it down to the HANA layer. We will discuss this further, what is bottom up and what is top down approach. So with this image you will see application server or ABAP layer, and this is HANA DB. When you are doing the calculation over here, data to code, we already discussed this also. Bottom up, here DB was Oracle, not HANA, right? And here if you'll see code to data, here we have HANA database. So we are doing the calculation here only. So bottom up and top down. This is the bottom up, this is the top. Now comes bottom up approach. So bottom up approach, we create views, calculation view, attribute view, analytic view at HANA DB layer with HANA modeling, and these views are later exposed and used in ABAP layer via external views. So this is done by HANA modeler tool. This is not exactly as a ABAP consultant works, but here in with HANA modeler tool, we create these views. These are design way of doing. There is no coding involved. This is a design based views which we create. We just arrow from arrow we drag and drop. We establish the relation by dragging and drop from one table to another. We establish the relation and we create views. So how exactly with HANA modeler tool we create these views, and then we create the external views. What external views is? It's a read only, monitored by ABAP dictionary, can be used in ABAP program to access data available in the form of information views in SAP HANA DB. So third point, so whatever views is available in SAP HANA DB that we create via HANA modeler tool, that we are exposed as external views, and there we are using it in our application server, in our coding, in our ABAP programs. So ABAP consultants are directly using it, and it is more optimized than stored procedures. What is stored procedures? Just a brief introduction I will give about this. So whatsoever, if the business scenario is complex, the logic is complex, that views is not able to create via this HANA modeler, then we write procedures to achieve that complex business requirement, and then that is called stored procedure. So that is not possible via getting the views only. So then we create the stored procedures to fulfill that. Summing it up, create HANA view in DB layer, first thing via HANA modeler. Second, create external view. Use external view in application. So this is how we use bottom up approach. This was all about the bottom up approach. Before ABAP 7.4, we were using external view approach. Okay, now top down approach. In top down, we create objects using ABAP code that can leverage power of SAP HANA. Here comes CDS and AMDP into picture. Now all ABAP consultants there would here would be raised. Okay, did we hear just CDS and AMDP? Yes, CDS and AMDP. What are we doing in top down? We are creating models in application layer, and it is going to create same in DB layer. It's like we are using door of application layer to create object models in HANA DB. I will explain it what top down is. In top down approach, we are creating views at application layer only. When we save and activate it, it goes down in HANA DB, and there it create HANA views. So earlier what we are doing in bottom up, we are creating HANA views, exposing it as an external view, then we are using it in our application server. So that was bottom up, and here it is top down. Question: why SAP recommends top-down approach? So SAP is recommending top-down. So the reason behind it, there were a lot of disadvantages, drawbacks of bottom-up, that in order to eradicate it, SAP comes up with this top-down approach, and it recommends this process only. Just look at to the drawbacks. Need additional license to create views in DB layer. So for ABAP and HANA DB both. So with bottom up, we need license for views creating in HANA. There also HANA licensing, and then for using it in the top application layer, there also we were needing this licensing. Dual maintenance. Maintenance was both layer. Synchronization of changes. If you make any change made in DB layer, it should be reflected in application layer. Transport management, if you are migrating changes from one system to another, then simultaneously there were two parallel transport that we need to take care of. Need separate transports to move across ABAP and HANA DB if any changes made in both. Additional license cost, maintaining both HANA and ABAP layer. So we were maintaining two layer, that's why we have additional license cost incurring on the customers. Interesting part. For views in bottom up, replacement in top down was CDS. So we talk about views in bottom up, calculation view, analytic view. So those views, whatever work we were taking from those views, that we are doing in top down via the CDS. And for complex business things, I told you that we write procedures that was not feasible via the views only. Then so that in bottom up replaced by AMDP in the top down. So just I tried to establish a relation. Now talk about CDS. So it would just be a brief introduction about CDS and AMDP, some relation between them. And then in our next session, we will be continuing with our coding part. So that we will take care in our second session. So define in ABAP repository using SQL DDL syntax. So it's you can all the CDS view you can see in a go to your SA11 and there it would be it can be seen. Use Open SQL language. So language here is Open SQL. CDS is executed as a single statement. Hence we can't put a debugger inside. So debugging a CDS view, that is not possible. You can't put a debugger inside because it's a single statement. So here in this image, you can see top down. You are creating a CDS view, save and activate it, deploying it. Corresponding database view will get generated. If you are migrating it or taking it, transporting it to some other system, you just transport it, save and activate in that system. Another like the HANA view of corresponding that system will get generated. Talking about AMDP, ABAP managed database procedures. Simple ABAP class method containing DB specific procedure coding. So it's a simple class methods, the web class method, nothing new. Use a native SQL statement. So this thing we have to keep in mind. CDS was using Open SQL language. Here it's native SQL language. Activate AMDP debugger, terminate AMDP debugger. So here in CDS, debugging was not possible. You can't put a debugger inside. But here we can right click and we can activate AMDP debugger and we can deactivate this option we have. So it can be debug. The code within the method is pushed to the DB layer and executed within the DB. So what it is telling, whatever code we have written over there, that is pushed down to the DB layer and executed within the DB. So it's a push down technique, right? So this is how it is working and should be used only in DB specific function that do not exist in OpenSQL needed to be accessed. So what it is telling, the fifth point, as I said, procedures came into picture, whatever not we can achieve via the views. So here also whatever functionality that is DB specific, HANA DB specific, that we are not able to achieve via CDS, then we will go with AMDP because you are using native SQL statement and you can leverage the HANA DB specific functions with the AMDP. So this is the added advantage. CDS versus AMDP. In AMDP, we can call one function inside the other. It is helpful in returning multiple result set on complex logics. So we can have multiple result set as a returning parameter. Whereas CDS is dedicated for single set of logic and return only one result set. So if we have only one result set, then CDS is useful. But if we have multiple result set in return we want, so then we will go with the AMDP. CDS views can be created to read and process data at DB layer, whereas AMDP can be created to process and modify data at DB layer. So if only read and process is required, so that can be done by CDS. CDS can do this, create and modify data at the DB layer. So you can't create and modify data at DB layer via CDS. So then AMDP will come into picture. AMDP is used to work with stored procedures which further go to HANA DB layer and execute that. This functionality can't be achieved by OpenSQL and CDS. This we already discussed. Some HANA DB specific functionalities that can be exploited by AMDP only, not by the CDS or OpenSQL statement. Common features, benefits of CDS and AMDP. We are creating using DB procedures in AMDP and views in CDS without having access of HANA DB. So here, as we say, we don't have need dual licensing or something sort of that. We are creating at application layer. We save and activating it. Corresponding HANA DB view is getting generated. AMDP and CDS can be created in Eclipse only, not in GUI, as a BAP development tool plugin is needed for this. So it can only be achieved by Eclipse or HANA Studio as it requires ADT, a BAP development tools. CDS and AMDP does not need HANA license. When it is executed first time, it automatically create views and procedures respectively in HANA DB. We already discussed this. Next time it will take same from the HANA DB buffer. It will take it from there only. It will not go and hit a database again and again. Transferring data to other systems, CDS will create views and AMDP will create procedures automatically in the new system. This also we discussed. Note, CDS views are compatible with any database. This is the most important point, friends. CDS views are compatible with any database, whereas AMDP needs HANA as a database and this is the reason CDS is more popular and is in demand. So what changed for an ABAP consultant? So my answer would be, if you want to exploit HANA features the most, then a lot has changed that needs to be incorporated in our coding. Are we going to discuss those today? Obviously not. It's already too much for today and for this session. So yeah, but few glimpses we'll see what we have in a bag. So earlier you will see it was row store. So if you want to perform the select statement, whatsoever queries, whatsoever logic we are going to discuss in our next session. So I am just giving a glimpse. So earlier it was row store. If you want to perform select sum on amount, it will be result in low performance because after 1300 you have to sum 750, but in order to reach to 750 the system has to traverse with from 457 all this data it has to go through, then comes the 750. It will take it into the account. Again it is a row store, so row it will go to 458 sorali ua, then it will come to 115, then it will add. But so performance is low here, but in case of HANA, because it's a column store we are using, this will result in good performance because after 1300 when you are performing the select sum on amount, after 1300 the next data is 750. Then so here it no need of traversing through all this data and then summing it up. Directly you are summing it up. What you are doing, you change the way of coding, you are passing the select sum and HANA DB will do. So you are not just fetching the data here but also doing the calculation. You are sending it what you exactly need. So applications avatars you are doing from the HANA DB, getting from the HANA DB itself. So there are a lot of such code changes, the modifications which will incorporate in our coding and ABAP on HANA. So that everything we will discuss and the hands-on we will do. So what we have for next sessions, so OpenSQL, enhanced OpenSQL hands-on. Point here is there is a lot now database can do. Why not to write code query in such a way that it exploits HANA the most? So this is what the agenda would be. So with that said, we are done with the session. Thank you everyone. You guys take care of yourself in this new